All right. So there. Let's see. A little delay. All right. Hi, I'm Luke Servo. Welcome to a live event of Meet the Gaffer. Yeah, I don't know. I'm I'm having a wonderful delay, and so I'll just have to deal with that. I guess I'll just talk through it. So I'm trying to use Ecamm Live, and I'm using YouTube to stream. I'm going through A10 Mini Pro ISO. I tried to set up the Hollyland MARS 4K, which was sent to me like the older version, and now this newer version. Very slick. Used it all day yesterday on a job, but I cannot get it to go through the A10 Mini through the Blackmagic Ultra Studio recorder and be seen as one of the cameras in Ecamm Live. So I don't know. I'll have to play with that. But it actually saw Hollyland for a minute, and then yeah. So that's not my strong suit. Anyway, okay, so here we go. I'm in my little backyard office, and then I also have a camera that's outside. So I don't know if you can see that. And that's looking back at my office. Now out there, I've got, in fact, you know what? I'm not going to listen to myself anymore. I'm just going to never mind that, because no one's going to be talking to me anyway. If you can talk in the, text, then that's great. I've got Loud DP. I've got Lachlan Stamp in Australia. G'day to you too as well. Let's see here. We'll stick with this. Anyway, so outside, I've got a Felix Q5, and I have a Nanolite 60C. And so, you know, on face of it, it's like, what do those two units have in common? Well, they actually have quite a lot in common. And so I'm going to bring those in here after I talk about them out there. And so yeah, just let me know if you don't hear me. I'm hooked up to this camera, but through the A10 Mini, this is the audio you should hear when I'm outside as well. So yeah, I'm just not trying to do a seamless piece here, because I don't have the skills to do that. I'm just trying to do this on my own, figuring it out, and this is what we've got. So okay, we hear you loud and clear. Thanks so much. Okay, we've got Cinemartini, great name. Okay, so I'm going to show you just, or talk about stuff a little bit out there. Then we're going to bring them in here and shine them against the wall. I've got, so here, if you see, I've got a, let's see, do you see that? Yeah. So here is just an iPhone that is also hooked up. This is my crazy setup that I'm looking at. And then I have a shade down, because that gives me a little more control here. And I've got some white card on the windows, because it's a nice, 920 in the Bay Area. And then out here, you can see, well, yeah, I saw it. I showed it to you from the other side, but that's outside, and we'll get to that right now. Okay, So let's start out there, and I'll just kind of come back here to, from Italy, Marina del Ferme, or Ferm. Cool. Welcome. All right, and then I'll just come back in here and try to keep up with text. So keep them coming, and I'll catch up in a minute. So I'm going to go outside, talk a little bit out there, and then we'll come back in here. All right. So let's see. I should put that on there. All right. I don't know if you can hear me, but here we go. So Q5, I've got it on 26 volt battery, so that if you're comparing these two units, so here I've got the 60C, so this is the Nanolite Forza 60C, full color. This is full color as well. It's a version of RGB ACL. I'm not exactly, that's their own proprietary thing. This is definitely RGB ACL. And this is running on a regular 14 volt battery. So 60 watts, and then I'm not even quite sure where this is watt wise. I'm thinking it's sort of in the 100 watt range, but I'm not quite sure. Okay, but it's running off of 26 volt. So that is an important thing. You don't want to be putting this battery on here, even though it's basically doing the same sort of system. But very nice to be able to put these on batteries. Okay, so just talking through some of these different things. What I'm going to do in there is, there's different ways you can use these units, apart from the battery situation. But this has a Fresnel. The Q5 has a Fresnel attached to it, but that doesn't mean it's attached forever. Take the doors off, you can take the Fresnel out. And if you've watched other videos about the Q5, you know it's a very even field when this comes off. And then with the Rabbit Rounder from DOP Choice, Snapbag and Rabbit Rounder system, they make an adapter that will fit on here. But in order to put this adapter on here, you do need to take the Fresnel out. So, which, is a good thing, because then you don't have that extra thing in between. And now, a little interesting thing about this is, if you pop this off, and this is just two loose pieces, so it's important the way you put it on. There's a little bit of a drop down, and that drop down wants to go towards the unit, and then it just fits like that and snaps on here. Hello. Just need to get a little. Yeah, I love this system. It's just awesome. So here, then you can just pop it on there, and I don't know if you can see that, but it fits real snugly, and you've got that system there. Now, then the Bowens. We pop this off, pop the Bowens on, and take this unit off. And because this is a Cobb, there is no Fresnel. This is just a little intensifier. And now, oh, that's not going to fit on there because this is an M series. So what we need to do is, this comes with the unit, a little adapter that's M series to Bowens. And snap that on. Let's see if this will all fit in here. Hello. Now this does add some weight, so you know it's not a system I would normally put on here, but of course that's why they give you an extra receiver on the adapter so that you don't have to put it on the yoke of the, let me get this out of the way, show you. You don't have to put it on the yoke of the unit, you put it on the yoke, so to speak, of the adapter. And then, it's a little awkward, but that's because I've never done it before. Loosen that up, tighten that, and now we've got, let's see if everything's tight. There's the adapter on there. I think it is. Oh. Yeah, it's a little fiddly in here because it's all right, there you go. So it's possible to put this same 3-foot octa on both units. And now, you know, this might not be the type of unit you want to put in a 3-foot octa, but every once in a while, the other day, I had two Forza 60s, 60Cs in their small 2-foot octas, or little domes, and they were just, you know, far side keys for two people standing up, talking to each other and talking to camera. It worked out great. And a little aside there, up above us, there was U-channel, so just, you know, unistrut. And we were able to go up with these adapters just into the U-channel and tighten them up, and we could come down on C-stand arms, and it worked out well. So this is an adapter that doesn't have a name on it, so I forget where I got it, but Krupo makes a version of this. It's a little more streamlined, doesn't have this big old spinner on it, and very handy tool every once in a blue moon when you need it. Okay. I'm going to go in, check on any feedback, and then we'll go from there. All right, we're back. That was probably too much talking. Okay, let's see. What are some of the downsides of trying to mix RGB ACL systems with RGB WW? Yeah, you know, that really hasn't been an issue for me at this point. But then I don't do a ton of color work. It's more you're in daylight mode, but you're getting a good daylight because you're adding, you know, the RGB aspect to your unit. So even if we continue to be mostly daylight in our work, seems to me it makes a lot of sense to, now how come that's not showing up? Huh. Are you seeing me or you're just hearing me? Because in the, okay, I think you're seeing me. Anyway, in the stream, it just shows the outside image. Anyway, my point was that I think, you know, majority of our work is not going to be color, but having that color available to us is great. But, you know, when you bring in new units that are RGB ACL, whether they're you know, more panel lights or hard lights, mostly they're hard lights now, they're point source lights. We're combining them with panels that have been RGB WW forever. So, I mean, I think that's going to be just fine. Yeah, that's sort of my take on that. at the moment. Jacopo De Lucio, David from Italy. Can't really see the unit, a tad overexposed. Yeah, no doubt. Okay, yeah. I really should have an ND on there. Okay, curious to see it though. Okay, so we'll bring it inside and we should have a little better image on that. Brighton, UK, Nia. That's a great name too. Nanolite 60B. It's always a bit frustrating. Yeah, it's small. You know, I mean, it's like so many things. When you've got big hands, then all these smaller units with all their little fiddly bits, it can be kind of funny. It just takes a little while. So okay, all right. Owen Harvey and Sam Garcia Bryce from Chicago. Cool. That's where I grew up when I was a kid. Moved away when I was 9. Yeah, great city. All right, let's bring some of those units in, and then maybe we'll take down this watercolor that my daughter made of me making pies. And we'll just shine them against the wall and see if that, okay, here we go. We're going to take this off. So maybe I'll take the light out first. How about that? I'm a little worried the mow and blow guys are here. Thought they were going to come later. All right, so we'll pop this off. Yeah, definitely overexposed. Okay, bring this inside. Put it off to the side. So there's 100%. Let's see if we can get a little more wide on here. Yeah. Let's see. So there you see pretty much the full ball of that. All right, and that is with the Fresnel in. So Fresnel in, Fresnel out. So you get a much larger field, but not as focused, or probably not as much output as well. Okay. Okay, one moment. I'm going to mute myself here, and I'll be right back. And we're back. Okay. Let's see. Matching lights of different manufacturers. And let's see, that's completely changed. Yep, you know, a lot of folks are leaning towards RGB ACL. Seems that's, you know, where a lot of the industry is tilting. But you know, pros and cons. We'll see how things shake out. But panels, it just works out real well to, you know, do RGB WW. So it's yeah, interesting times for sure. Okay, I'm going to go, and obviously we've got ambient light here. I've got a skylight. I've got some window light coming in. So this isn't any kind of a real review. This is just a basic comparison. And so we'll go to foot candles. I've got, you know, 170 here at the center. Doesn't drop off too fast, but 170 there. And then just this is on the unit. This is 5600, 100%. And with other daylight and whatnot in here, I've got 5200 Kelvin. It says nothing for, you know, green magenta. And if you go to TM30, it's got 0.0014 in the delta UV. So it's a pretty nice circle. And yeah, not requiring any you know, much in the way of color correction. Now I'll just put this adapter on there, and can I actually get it through the door? That's the question. All right, there we go. Now we have to take the Fresnel out. So we'll pop that out and we'll plunk this on. And that probably takes up the whole view. Okay, and still aimed in the same place. I'll roll this over here, get a meter on it. Now it's, you know, up to 80 foot candles. Drops. And how much does that change the color is a question. It did change it. Now it's 0.0029. Spectrum wise, sometimes, yeah, so it looks like it warmed it up. Now we're at 4800, 4850. So the diffusion definitely warmed it up. Let me look at some text here. Oh, and Harvey's from the UK as well. Cool. Projection mount. Do they have a projection mount for the Q5? Not that I know of at the moment. Doesn't seem like they do have now. Right. RGB is so new in Italy. We don't have rental with them, only the Airy Orbiter. Right. Well, and the Airy Orbiter is in that same vein as well. Any charts that give RGB numbers that match Lee or Roscoe gels? Good question. You know, we were having this conversation the other day, a number of gaffers, just how things have changed as far as gels are concerned. I mean, I still have them on my flag cart, but I use diffusion, of course, continue to use diffusion. The funny thing is we're going back to a lot of boxes, so there's sort of less diffusion being used again. For a while, we were all into Chimera land, and then that kind of went away in this area for a while. And as we got into, I don't know, bigger sources or something, and then now with Aperture and Nanolux and ProLight and these other units, we've been getting back into boxes, and DOP Choices, just had this really strong push of well-made boxes. And yeah, it's just kind of interesting to see how things change over time. But actual Roscoe and Lee gels, yeah, not so much anymore. And people were saying too, the gaffers were saying that DPs at the beginning of having gels available on LED units, those would be called out. Like, hey, let's just do like a half CTB. Let's just let's do this particular gel color theatrical. Now there's less of that as well. So it's like, hey, let's look at this. You get your hue sat on there, and you move through it, and often to eye or to something that you're looking at, some other printed document or other video, and you're matching differently than just with gels. So I know a lot of folks are still using gels just on HMIs the way we've always done on tungsten, but there's definitely a move away from that, and those calling out those Lee and Roscoe numbers seems to be less of a thing in my world anyway. So yeah, just pointing that out. Let's see. But no, I don't necessarily have a RGB, or I mean a chart that has RGB numbers that match Lee and Roscoe. That seems like it'd be a thing out there, but I don't know of that. There are apps, of course. There's the Lee app. There's a number of apps regarding gels that, and then the whole mix system that, DMG Lumiere, which is Roscoe. That's a whole system as well, and probably used more in Europe at the moment, but that's coming over here as well with the dashes. People are getting used to that, and so yeah, there are lots of different ways of getting to your goal. We got Robert Pekonski. Right. Yes. No, it's true. To a lot of folks, DMX is just like like, I don't need that. I've got 5 to 6 lights, usually fewer, and I'm just turning them on, and I'm dialing them in, and away we go. I don't need any of this DMX stuff. A lot of people are getting super, used to using the Sidus app with Aperture units, with some of the other units that work with them, and that's everybody has, all these manufacturers all have their own apps with their units. So there's a lot of different, I guess you could say, patterns or rhythms of lighting now, because there are so many ways. It's not just like, oh, you got a bunch of tungsten lights, you turn them on, you decide if you're going to put gel or diffusion on them, and that's it. No, there's all these apps, there's all so it's the cacophony of ways of getting where you're going has really ramped up. Okay, so let's see. Yeah. Approach of RGB lights in black and white films. Sorry, I don't have a whole lot of experience with that. I do know that, you know, what I've read is that, yeah, you can play a lot more. Like the yellows, I don't know, I shouldn't even say that, but you can use lots of different darker colors to make your black and whites have more gradation and interest. So yeah, I just don't have a whole lot of experience with it, but definitely cool. Every once in a while, yeah, they're like, okay, this is going to play as black and white, and you're like, okay, are you just going to light it normally and then just crank out color, or do you want to actually embrace that? And usually, you know, with corporate stuff, they're like, oh, well, you know, who knows? I mean, at the last minute, we might change and just keep it in, you know, color. So we better not go too crazy with the color to create a cool black and white. Yeah, but no, I think that's cool that you've got that as a question. Yes, you know, that's those David is saying that you know, more and more he's lighting to eye, and you know, that's just comes with experience. And like the other day, we were in a place where the lights to eye, to me, felt like they were on the cooler side, but then we put on some of our own units, and just to eye, you're like, oh no, these are way warmer. And then we dialed in our units to the units in the space, and before you know it, we were at like 4,000 Kelvin, and, or no, 4,500 Kelvin, and they looked pretty similar. And I was working the whole time until we had the roll, so I never actually put a meter on it, dummy. But yeah, it was just kind of fun that your eye is not always right, for one, and B, it was still good enough to see when you compared them. So that's why I love comparisons. And to that end, let's pop another unit on here now. I've already forgotten my numbers, but you guys are smart out there, so keep in mind what we did before. We'll get rid of this guy. We'll take the octa off. Pop this guy back on, off, and out it goes. We can, let's see, it's off, but the fan's still on, of course. I usually like to turn my units down to 0 before I turn them off, so that the next time I turn them on, they don't blind somebody. All right, so here's our little, and it's just amazing what this little sucker can do. You know, such a small unit. It's crazy. And now I'll swap out the rabbit rounder. And I think I have that. Oh yeah. Okay. Snap. Oh, I need this adapter too. Let's make that tight and snap it on here. All right. Pop Did it? Oh, but we want to use the other yoke. Okay. Nice. Raise it up ever so slightly. Pop her on. And that's at 0. There's 100. And let's bring that up to 56 on this scale. Okay. I guess the last one we did a meter reading without this. Okay, I guess we'll do that in reverse. Okay, 84, 80, 84. Yeah, it's in the 80 zone. I think that was like, it's a little spottier though, just to eye. It seems a little spottier, which, you know, makes sense. And then color-wise, $5,100, and it asks for no green magenta shift. So, and then just TM30 wise, 0.0014, and that's with the diffusion on it. So if we take the diffusion off, turn it off a minute, take this unit out, take this off, and we'll do it truly backwards. So this is with nothing on it. So that's just, so that's without any kind of Fresnel or whatever. Just raw. That's 180. 140, 30. Yeah, so 180, 190, 180. Yeah. And so, you know, definitely on the spottier side, because without the Fresnel, the Q5 had a much more even TM30 0.003, and it's at 55 Kelvin, 5475. So that's a little truer without the diffusion, without any front. Now, and really good on the delta UV. And then if we put this little intensifier on it, definitely on the spottier side, and you get a little extra, what is that, penumbra, something like that. So now here, obviously, you're going to get a lot more output. Yeah, there's 360, and then color-wise, how does that change it? 5550, so it makes it a little cooler. And TM30 0.006. Yeah, so this is this unit F5600, pretty spot on. Now, one other thing we could do is put on the Fresnel, because that will give us a bit of an idea how that compares with the Q5 as well. So you just get a very cute little Fresnel. And this, I think we've seen in the past, is definitely, you know, on the spottier side. You don't get as long of a focus. You travel, you know. Let's see. Come on. So there, get out of the way. That is at full wide. So yeah, much tighter than the Q5, and then spotted in. I didn't even do that on the Q5. We could do that too. So there's our spot in. So why don't we just do, and then let's see how that changes color. .005. Kelvin wise 5588, so it makes it comes in a little cooler if we widen out again. It's about the same, 5575 and 0.003. So yeah, even with adapters and modifiers, really nice color. Here in flood mode, we've got up to 360, 340. It's kind of a zone. All right, so that is the case here. And now, of course, you know, you can put the also beyond cute little lightweight, put it in the light, the little ellipsoidal. This is a 19 degree. I don't have other barrels, so I need to get some more barrels, but yeah, that's the nice thing about the aperture one. It's a zoom, so it's kind of all in one. Here, let's swap out for the can't talk anymore. Back to the Q5, and we'll do a little spot flood on it. So here, let's go 100%, and here's our flood. It gives you an idea of that with the Fresnel, and then now here is the spot. So yeah, just a real nice, even Fresnel-y feel. And just because we're here, let's do a metering. So here we're 0.0020, and spectrum wise, come on, sometimes at 800, a little sticky. Well, now this is saying, yeah, 5400, so yep. And then let's go, hello, and let's go to 5200, still not asking for any change, and 0.0016. So yeah, and then 180. Yeah, 180 in the center anyway. And then if we do this, it's probably in the, oh, 1100. Yeah, so that's definitely, you know, a tighter deal. All right, so how about that? And I'm sitting down on an apple box, so I'm a little lower, but we could come in ever so slightly. Yeah, all right. So let's see, what do you got? Let me back it up here a little bit. Let's see. Rich Danny's. Hey, how you doing, man? A good friend from the Toronto Bay Area. The Toronto, can't even talk anymore. The Greater Toronto GTA area. Yeah, there you go. High school. Let's see. Okay. Thanks. What makes that aluminum baby stand you have there? Who makes it? This is a Norms stand. So because I had a van for 18 years, I had a lot of Norms grip stands mostly because they were lightweight and their form factor was perfect for a van. So I've had these units, I have these stands for 30 years, it seems. So maybe it's 25. But and then, the beefier stuff, and I got a bigger truck, then I got more American grip because I liked their sort of overbuiltness. It's like it just, the in and out of a larger truck, it was great to have beefier stuff. Now I think, most, and I got some more Matthews units, stands, mostly junior stands, and then their crank ups. I just like what they've been doing. And I don't have a big enough truck to get the American Roadrunner and Blackbird stands, which I love, and when I can sub-rent them, but I just don't have the room for that kind of thing. So yeah, that's kind of my world. But now Modern and other manufacturers, everybody's making pretty comparable grip equipment these days. And in Europe, it's more, I guess, probably Krupo and Manfrotto and that kind of stuff. So it doesn't cross-pollinate perfectly across the globe, but yeah, it's nice. The more people talk about stuff and show things on their video channels or wherever on Instagram, stuff like that, it's peer pressure, and all these different manufacturers have to keep up with each other. So it's a good thing for us. Okay, let's see. Plastic light. I don't know about that. Okay. Yeah, using Mole Richardson and going to Amran, that would be a shock, for sure. Yeah, well, and it's sort of the difference between having a car built in the 50s and 60s and today. You get a lot of capabilities, but you're in one little accident and you're pretty much totaled. So it's you get your pluses and your minuses. Let's see, 200D and a 300D. Yeah, on a certain level, if you're not using a lot of lights, you're not renting, working with higher NDPs, all that kind of stuff. If it's your personal gear, hey, you can get away with a lot of more inexpensive units, for sure. you know, and the fact that there is the Amaran line, and you know, for aperture and Amaran, Nanolite and Nanolux, you know, those are sort of, it's become the pro and prosumer, you know, in a sense. But hey, I mean, no, this is, I would say, pro, you know, and then most people would say Nanolite is prosumer, right? But there's crossover, and you can say, you know, everything about this unit just sings out pro, you know, it just does. And so that's a really worthwhile thing to a lot of people. To a lot of other people, you know, a couple years since this has come out, now you've got the 60C. It does almost everything. And, you know, just as we've seen, does a pretty good job, and you're able to, you know, add even other adapters to it. So is one better than the other? No, not necessarily. It's not a black and white thing. It's how you use units in your work, and who's asking for them, who wants to have the name brand, who wants to have, you know, what they're used to in other markets, all those kinds of things. Can you talk someone into using a unit that they haven't used before? Sometimes. You know, I worked with one DP who works all over the world, and is often paired with an older gaffer that is more set in their ways, because he's at this high level. So he gets the high level people. And then we got thrown together because someone wasn't available or whatever. And he's like, yeah, you know, every once in a while I'd like to try some new things, but the guys that I'm working with, they're just like, no, you don't want to try that. And they stick to with their, you know, their tungsten and their HMIs. So I spent the next couple of days just bringing in different LEDs, and he's like, oh, you know. So you know, it doesn't make them right or wrong. It's just kind of fun that now we have this smorgasbord of units to try out. So I just think it's kind of fun when people get all high on their horse about pro, non-pro, blah blah blah. It's like, you know, you could make some of this work with Home Depot crap. You know, it's not impossible. But as we hone our craft, as we, you know, get to a point where speed is a big deal, and we need to have capabilities, you know, quickly at hand. You know, the interface on this unit, the way they've done their profiles, all that, super pro. On the 60C, it's getting there. I mean, you even have XY in that little sucker. So it's amazing. And you can do almost the same things, you know, with both units. So it's just, yeah, you can't get too definitive about things, especially these days, as everything's changing so much. All right, back to the folks. Let's see. B&H keeps pushing Godox. Yeah, you know, I mean, Godox, again, I haven't been using my Aperture 600 units with the spotlight mount because it doesn't, you know, I'm a little worried about it. Just heat-wise, I probably shouldn't be. I don't need to be. But it wasn't optimized for it. The Godox 600 D, I think it's just daylight only, actually worked pretty well. You know, I got that tip from Andrew Locke, and so I've been using that once in a while. But now Nanolux has come out with their 720B, 1200B as well, but 720B, and I haven't done a video on it. I'm kind of capturing more footage, but I've been using that with their ellipsoidal Now that doesn't work on the Aperture units, but it certainly works on the 720B, and awesome. So now again, it's another unit that's sort of a proprietary thing, you know, where you have to get the separate barrels for it. It's like, yeah. So I'm really looking forward to Nanolite, Nanolux, you know, one of these companies coming out with something that is more like the Rabbit Router, where we can be interchangeable with our different units. So it's not all this proprietary stuff. That's the thing that drives me crazy about ARRI with the orbiter. Now, of course, it's playing out with all these other units as well. But in the beginning, it's like, oh, you're going to come out with a ellipsoidal thing that does, you know. But now, of course, way after the fact, they came out with an adapter that works with your older ETC barrels that we all have a lot of. And that may happen as well with Aperture and Nanolux. I don't know. But hope springs eternal. Okay, here we go. Let's see. There you go. Loud DP and Rich. You're going to want to talk to Rich's brother, though. He's in the industry. Rich is an amazing animator. Okay. Manfrotto Avenger. Yeah, I don't even know if they're the same company now. I mean, one of those companies took over what ARRI was doing in Gripland. I kind of lost track of that stuff. Let's see. Yeah. Yes, right. Desisti. I mean, we used to have Desisti units way back in the day, and now you don't really see those here. I don't see them in the Bay Area, certainly. But yeah, Italian firm, and so I would imagine, yeah. And if you're on stages and those stages already have a large paddock full of tungsten, that's what you're going to use. Especially if your alternative is Steraro's LEDs, and that may not be cost effective for every job. But yeah, there's innovation too. You know, that's super interesting to me. I just don't know that much about it. Okay. Never going back to tungsten. Yeah, you know, I just put up a bunch of my tungsten units. I don't think anyone will pick them up, but it's still a wonderful light. It's just sort of getting swept out to sea with all the other units that are out. Let's see. Okay, I think I'm up to date here. Manfrotto is the mother of Avenger, maybe something like that. All right, yeah. Okay, I've overstayed my welcome. It's a little over an hour already. Kind of a rough start, and I'm totally bummed that I couldn't get the wireless part of it to work. But hey, I'll figure it out for next time. And I appreciate you guys coming on and keeping it lively. Hope some of this was helpful. It was just something, this combination, this comparison was something that I've been wanting to do because it just was kind of yelling at me while I would use the units. The last job I was on, the last 2 days, used both of these and both of the 60Cs, you know, so yeah, and when you need small units, you know, you got your dados, you got these two possibilities as well, and so there are yeah, there's lots to maybe just one last little thing here, show it more in close-up. So this is that there we go. There you can see that, you know, that hooks into your U channel and then gives you a nice spud to a baby pin to come off of, which is slick. And then just to show these guys, even though I'm not using them this go around. So what's nice about these is they've made the Hollyland MARS 4K, and they've made the little antennas smaller. It's just a nice compact system, works on your typical Sony bats, and has like 8 channels to go between your receiver and transmitter receiver, and you can go both SDI and HDMI. Now, why it wasn't working through the A10 Mini Pro, I don't know. Yesterday we were using it just between 2 monitors and throwing it to a second monitor. So this is great for on set if you want to be a little removed from the set or from Video Village or whatever, and have it off. I had everything on blackout on the iPad, and it was nice to have a unit that I could see the 3 different camera angles and tweak things as needed. But yeah, it worked like a charm, and these batteries worked full day, and they were barely used. So they don't come with the unit, you have to get your own. So but these are just generic Sony bats that I got on the web. Anyway, there you go. Let's see. Thank you for watching. And Mike, no worries. I'll do it again. Let's see. Have you gotten your hands on a ProLite 675? No, because I haven't been to any of the shows, and I don't live in New York, where Mitch has been showing them off at a couple different things at Lux Lighting, so different events, and so I have not gotten to it yet, but looking forward to it. So yeah, when that comes in, we can compare that with some other units, certainly the Lightstorm 600C, and also just the the 720B, the other units that you would play with it, because you're not just going to use it for color, you're going to use it for tunable white, and so I'm looking forward to it. I've heard really good things about the interface, about the capabilities. XY. XY is not something I use a lot, but every once in a while, when I'm in an environment where I can't turn off the lights, I need to use what's available. It's really nice to be able to take an XY reading and then have that capability on your units. So more and more looking to get the units that I have to work with to be full color. It's a misnomer for those that are full-on propeller spinning nerds about color, but to us it's more full color than just warm and cool. So there we go. All right, hey, thanks for watching, and see you next time. And I got to turn off. And I don't know how to do that. Oh, end stream. There you go. Let's see. Anybody else? I would take a brute and a full crew. Yeah. Didn't they claim I can match? Oh, yes. Well, here's the thing. I mean, that's why I do comparisons, because there's a lot of claims. Manufacturers love to say that their unit is as bright as some other unit out there that everybody knows about. Hardly ever is it the truth. So I could bring up examples, but that'd be talking smack. And let's not do that publicly. All right. I'll see you later.